Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 4 NBA player props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's NBA slate. But first, before we dive into today's picks, a quick little recap of how I did last night. Jumping on over to GuyBostonSports.com. By the way, guys, if you want to go ahead and look at any of the results from the previous day's videos, all of them are posted here on the GuyBostonSports.com website. All you have to do is scroll up to Tasso Sports Picks and then Tasso's Picks. All my picks, all my video results are all up there with our updated records daily over on GuyBostonSports.com. So last night, not a great night, not a terrible night. We went 2-2 overall. We did have a couple of really nice reads there with Jalen Green and SGA, who both had really solid performances last night. Jalen Duren, which is a clean, cold miss. He just never even came close to that line. I think he only finished with 18 points plus rebounds, so it wasn't even close. Jared Allen, we missed by 1. He finished it with exactly 22 points plus rebounds, which it's funny because he literally in the previous 2 matchups against that team, which I'm blanking on who they played last night already. That's his 3rd straight game against that team where he scored exactly 22 points plus rebounds. So narrow miss there. Like I said, not a bad night, not a great night either, though. 2-2. We did have a slight loss in units there, minus 0.21 units. We are now 171 and 144 on the year. Again, across with parlays and single bets, we are still up over 18 units profit this year. So still having a very profitable year, a solid season. But I think we can definitely do better than how we did last night. So let's go ahead and have a better night tonight with the 4 player props I'm giving you guys in today's slate. By the way, I do know that there's not even a slight. It's a pretty major echo in the microphone. It's obviously, I just moved in with my girlfriend. We have our house here. And obviously, we're still getting in the process of moving in. So yeah, the room is new. Literally the only thing in this room right now is the little drawer behind me and then my podcast recording stuff here. So there's a lot of echo. Everything's bouncing off the walls. In the coming days, weeks, I'm going to be putting up more stuff to kind of eliminate some of the echo. So bear with me with the echo. It's not going to be here too long. Hopefully by the end of the week, we'll get it all sorted out. We're still kind of unboxing and moving everything. So it's a bit of a process. So I do apologize for the annoyance of my voice booming and echoing, and which obviously is a little bit annoying, but bear with me and hopefully it'll be away very soon. But guys, with that out of the way, let's dive right into today's picks. All right, guys, jumping right into the outlier screen. Our first pick in today's slate comes from the Lakers-Pacers game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. And we're going with Luka Doncic here, over 44.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. He's just been a fun player to, obviously Luka's always fun to bet on, but especially of late, he's been absolutely tearing it up with the Lakers. And this line feels a little generous to us. Feels a little weird that we're getting at this value. Makes me a little nervous, the fact that it's this valuable, but really good numbers here. Luka's cashed this over in 9 of his last 10 games. His only miss, March 17th, St. Patty's Day against the Spurs. He missed it by 1 PRA. So really good numbers. He's averaging 49 PRAs over his last 10 games. He's been on a pretty good stretch. If you go ahead and look at the overall data this year from his time with Dallas and the Lakers, a 55% hit rate, not too shabby, averaging 44 PRAs per game this year. But you do see here this nice little stretch of the last 10 games for Luka where he's really been going off for the Lakers. You can definitely tell he's getting comfortable in La La Land. So pretty good numbers there. The recent data and the overall data, both pretty solid on this player prop. He did cash this last year too at a 77% hit rate, including playoffs. So a line he's very familiar with. You also have the head-to-head data is pretty solid. Each of his last 3 matchups against the Pacers, he's cashed this over, averaging a whopping 53.67 PRAs per game against the Pacers. Now, they played one time this year back when he was a member of the Dallas Mavericks. He had a massive game there on November 4th, 34.7 rebounds and 15 assists in a game where the Dallas Mavericks actually lost to the Pacers. Now, my hypothesis for why this line is where it's at is because of the fact that LeBron is back, although he is a game-time decision in this game tonight, along with Rui Hachimura. But the Lakers are starting to get some of their pieces back, so that could obviously affect how much Luka, how many times he's touching the ball, how many shots he's taking, stuff like that. Obviously, if LeBron does not play tonight, this line probably will jump up massively. It's a really solid bet, so go ahead and grab this while you can, because if LeBron does indeed not play, it's a really, really good bet here for Luka. The matchup's solid. The Pacers overall this year, 17th in points, 20th in rebounds, and 14th in assists. And we narrowed down to the point guard position, which is where Luka's kind of been lining up with the Lakers. 18th in points, 7th in rebounds, 26th in assists. But we know, if you watch Tyrese Halliburton now for a while. He's not really the best defender in the league, and I do think Luka's got a pretty good matchup. Although their overall numbers seem to be okay, a little bit better than they were last year, although versus shooting guards, 20th in points, 21st in rebounds, and 14th in assists. We know the Pacers defense isn't that great, especially in a matchup with a superstar like Luka. We've seen point guards have absolutely incredible performances when they play Indiana, so I think Luka, obviously being one of the top 5 best players in the league, should go ahead and have a massive performance against this Pacers team. So a really good spot here for Luka, over 44.5 points, rebounds, assists. Going to throw 1 unit on this play. All right, guys, moving on. Our second player prop in today's slate is going on to the Clippers-Knicks game, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. I actually have 2 player props coming from this Clippers-Knicks game, but the first of 2 and our second overall, we got Josh Hart of the New York Knicks over 27.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. Now this one a little juiced in terms of the odds, -140 over on BetMGM, -143 over on Sleeper. You can, of course, go with 28.5, which is available on more sports books and for better odds. However, obviously, you're adding an extra point, rebound, assist, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the data does improve when you would slice that extra point, rebound, assist off. But you also have the EV plus numbers there, so this is a pretty good plot. I think it's worth, if you have BetMGM available to you or you have Sleeper bets available to you, I think it's worth putting a little extra on this one because the value is definitely high. And even though I know 1 point, rebound, assist doesn't make the world of difference, again, the data is slightly better. And sometimes, like you saw with Jared Allen last night, if you gave us that extra point / rebound, it's a difference between a cash and a miss. So sometimes that 1 point / rebound / assist can make the world of difference with these single bets. Now for a player prop -140 odds, you'd want the data to be slightly better, but it's not bad. You do see 5 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 27.9 PRAs per game over his last 10 games. His last time out, just last night versus the Dallas Mavericks, a massive performance, 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists, a triple-double last night against Dallas. So like I said, not great numbers, but solid. You go ahead and stretch the numbers out to the last 20 games, it does get a little bit better. A 60% hit rate over the last 20 games, averaging 28.65 PRAs per game. So again, not bad. And then if you go ahead even further and stretch the data out to the entire season view for Josh Hart, a 62% hit rate on this over. He's cashed in 42 out of 68 games, and he's averaging 29.41 PRAs per game this season. So like I said, not the best data of all time, but some pretty solid numbers here. And I do think the matchup, the circumstance, everything kind of points the direction of this being a really solid player problem. Now, the head-to-head data is not fantastic. However, the last time they played, and the only time they played this year, actually about 3 weeks ago on March 7th, he had a pretty big game. 6 assists, 20 rebounds, and 14 points. And what was a 10-point loss for the Knicks. So he cashed this over with flying colors, the only meeting this year, again, less than a month ago. The previous 2 matchups were back last year. Clearly, this game, he had 0, 1, and 1. I'm sure there's probably something with the minutes there. He only played 8 minutes in that game. The one before that, 32. Obviously, the earlier game this year, he played 46 minutes. And I would say that's not going to happen again, but honestly, with a Tom Thibodeau team, you just never know how many minutes these guys are going to actually play. So not the best head-to-head data, but we do have the one reference point from this season that looks really, really good for us. But again, it's all about the matchup. Josh Hart, although he's listed as a shooting guard, he primarily lines up as a small forward at the 3 spot here. And you see the Clippers defense, it's really the one weak spot in their defense. 26th in points, 21st in rebounds, and 1st in assists allowed. Actually, really good assist numbers there for them. But it's a pretty good solid matchup here for us against the Clippers here for Josh Hart. And again, he already cashed it once this year and had a very big game against them the last time out. Obviously, when you take into effect that Jalen Brunson is also out in this game, we can go and show you guys the numbers without Brunson. Also, no Miles McBride, which is so they really just don't have a point guard tonight, which kind of foreshadowing for a pick I have next up. But you do see the numbers. And the last time he played the Clippers this year, Jalen Brunson was not available in that game either. So pretty good reference point there, actually. This year, he's played 10 games without Brunson. He's cashed the over in 5 of the 10 games without Brunson. He's averaging 29 PRAs per game. So like I said, not crazy great data, but overall, it seems to be pretty solid. But the other thing I want to show you guys was the numbers. Obviously, this is the second night of a back-to-back for him. In the back-to-back numbers here for Josh Hart, you do see pretty good 7 out of 10 games this year when playing on the second night of a back-to-back. He's cashed the over, averaging 28.6 PRAs per game. And he cashed it in 7 consecutive back-to-back games prior to his miss in March 20th, his most recent back-to-back game against the Hornets. So pretty good numbers, and one more solid data point here for Josh Hart before we move on to the next pick is the numbers at home in Madison Square Garden this season. You do see this year for Josh Hart a 65% hit rate when playing in MSG this year, averaging 30.12 points, rebounds, assists per game when playing in the Garden. In the last 10 games, 7 of his last 10. So some pretty good numbers here at home for Josh Hart. I think it's worth taking a risk here with the minus 140. You're probably going to have to put a little extra down in order to get it, but I do think it's a pretty good spot. So I'm going to put 1.25 units on this player prop. That's the second prop in today's slate. By the way, guys, we just hit the 10-minute mark in today's video. So if you are still watching this point, please comment 10 down below. As always, guys, we appreciate those who watch through each and every single one of the videos. Not to shame you guys. I understand a lot of people come here. They just go to the comments. They get the picks. Totally understandable. But I'm telling you guys, watch the analysis because the analysis paints the picture of what these props are. Because sometimes you might not agree with what I'm talking about, and that could maybe push you away from taking the player props. So I'm telling you guys, watch the video, watch the picks. We put a lot of hard work and time and effort into these, so make sure you go ahead and watch through all the numbers and the data and analysis for each and every player prop. So if you are still watching, comment 10 down below. And before we move on to the final two picks, guys, quick little shout out to today's sponsor, Outlier. Everything you've seen so far in this video and in all of my player prop videos here on the channel is brought to you by Outlier. It's truly the best sports betting tool on the market. You guys are seeing all the information. Look at all the stuff you see here. Matchups. You can go to the team numbers, team records, the public betting numbers, the line movements. There's so much insight and whatnot that goes into these player props. And I'm only showing you guys a little bit of the information. Obviously, baseball starts tomorrow. You're going to want to have the right sports betting tool by your side. Baseball is 100% analytical when it comes to betting on player props. So you're going to want to have the right tool. Outlier is the best that money can buy. And the best part is, we're giving you guys a 7-day free trial to go ahead and check it out for yourself. Link down below in the description. Shout out to Outlier for sponsoring today's video. And guys, I'm telling you guys, check it out. 7 days free. You don't like it, you cancel it, no cost at all. But I'm telling you guys, you will become a better sports bettor when using a tool like Outlier by your side. So 7-day free trial down below in the description. Go ahead and check that out. All right, guys, back to the picks. Our third player prop in today's slate, our second player prop from this game. We have Clippers-Knicks. We have James Harden of the Clippers over 29.5 points plus assists, which we're getting for minus 110 odds over on DraftKings. Data is really solid in this prop for Harden. He's cashed it in 9 of his last 10 games and actually cashed it in 9 straight, leading up to their most recent miss against the Thunder. He's been balling out. That Thunder game was a really tough game for him, tough matchup for him, but really good numbers across the board. He's averaging 37.1 points plus assists per game over his last 10 games. And the further you go ahead and stretch the data out, in my opinion, the more impressive it gets. Look at the last 20 games for Harden. 15 of his last 20 games, a 75% hit rate, averaging 34.75 points plus assists per game over his last 20 games. And you go ahead and stretch the numbers out to the entire season view for Harden, a 62% hit rate on this over, 42 out of 68 games he's cashed it, averaging 31.21 points plus assists per game overall this year. So some pretty good numbers. You do see the little bit of the hot run that he's on right now, but even the overall numbers this year look pretty solid for Harden, minus the first maybe 10 to 15 games of the year when he had a little bit of a slow start. But he's having a pretty solid season. Look at the head-to-head numbers as well. Kind of the same thing we saw with the Josh Hart player prop. Their one meeting this year, the numbers are good. The previous 2 matchups, not so much. Just one of his last 3 against the Knicks, he's cashed the over. But the more important reference point, the game they played this year, he had a big game, 27 points and 7 assists, and what was a 10-point win for the Clippers. And as you can see here, he left some shots on the table. He took 20 shots, only made 7 of them, just 35% from the floor. Again, he still finished with 34 points plus assists. So imagine if he shot the ball slightly better. I think the fact that you see this intense volume and the fact that he cashed it without even shooting the ball all that well, I think is a pretty encouraging sign. Also, the fact that Knicks defensively versus point guards, overall, they're okay. 17th in points, 10th in assists. Over the last 7 games, no team is giving up more points to point guards than the New York Knicks. The worst defense versus point guards over the last 7 games. They're getting crucified, and it makes sense. No Brunson, now Miles McBride also out. They're getting scored on in heavy numbers, and I don't think that changes tonight. Really good matchup here for James Harden. Minus 110 odds, too. Pretty good value. I'm going to go ahead and put 1.15 units. Playing a little risky here with this one. We're going to put 1.15 units on this player prop. And our fourth and final player prop in today's slate comes from the Celtics-Suns game, 10 p.m. tip-off. A little bit of a riskier play here. We're going Kristaps Porzingis of the Celtics over 19.5 points. I'll be honest right from the jump here, guys. The data is not fantastic in this matchup here against the Phoenix Suns. Just 4 of his last 10 games as he cashed the over. However, you do narrow it down a little bit to the last 5 games. He's cashed it in 3 of his last 5, so I guess not too terrible from a recent standpoint. But look at the overall numbers, say 39% hit rate this year, for Porzingis, averaging 19.39 points per game this season. He's always somewhere in the ballpark of this line. Now, maybe this line is slightly elevated due to the fact that obviously Jason Tatum is likely not to play. He's listed as a game-time decision, but I would be shocked if he plays in this game for the Celtics. If we look at the numbers without Jason Tatum this year for Porzingis, you know, the numbers aren't still that great. A 50% hit rate without Tatum, 2 out of 4 games, averaging 21.75 points per game. So you do see his average does go up. I think the important thing to look at, though, is his volume. Now, his minutes played does go up when Tatum is playing. Porzingis is averaging 28 minutes per game. Without Tatum, he's averaging 31 minutes per game. Again, small sample size, only 4 games this year without Tatum in the lineup. Usually it's Porzingis the one who's out, but in this situation, obviously Tatum got hurt in that Kings game over the weekend. But yeah, 31 minutes per game without Tatum. His shots do go up, almost 2 extra shots per game. He's relied on a little bit more offensively. And also the matchup's pretty solid here versus the Clippers. Overall this year, 27th in points allowed to the center position, giving up 20.9 points per game. You do narrow it down to the last 7 games. They are still bottom 5 in the NBA in points allowed to centers. So from a recent standpoint, from an overall standpoint, it seems to be a really good matchup here for Porzingis against the Suns. Without Tatum, you got to imagine somebody's got to take more of the offensive load. I think considering the matchup at hand, it could be Porzingis in this spot. A little riskier for sure. I am going to throw a unit on it at minus 115 odds over on FanDuel. And like I said, the data is not very good. There's not a ton I can go off of, except for the fact that, you know, with Tatum being out this year, Porzingis' numbers have gone up slightly without Tatum. I do think the matchup is too favorable to not go ahead and take a little risk here. So risky, yes, but I do think it's worth a shot here with the matchup and with the fact that Tatum's not going to play. Porzingis over 19.5 points, 1 unit. That's our final play in today's video. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I'll be back tomorrow with another NBA player prop video. I don't know exactly what time. We're still trying to figure out a schedule. Obviously, tomorrow is opening day for Major League Baseball. So also tomorrow, make sure if you're not subscribed yet, if the NBA videos don't tickle your pickle, maybe the MLB ones will. Tomorrow we officially start our MLB player prop videos. So, you know, if you want to go ahead and watch those, they start tomorrow. So we're still trying to figure out a schedule. Obviously, Ev and I are going to have now 4 videos in the morning between the 2 of us, trying to figure out when those will be. It's a little bit of a challenging job right now. So I don't know. The NBA video might come out a little later, maybe closer to like 11:30-ish. I don't know. We'll obviously have to wait and see how, you know, timing goes. But yeah, MLB opening day tomorrow. So getting 2 videos from me tomorrow morning, MLB player prop video and NBA player prop video. But guys, until then, hope you're all winners. Enjoy your Wednesday. Let's go ahead and make some money.